This was fantastic. Really well done as far as documentaries go. The structure, the way it's all presented and edited is fantastic. But at its core, it really is a compelling, inspiring story. I had never heard of such cases of such an extreme allergy. So learning about that, learning about how Kieran is dealing with it, the way that was all presented by the filmmakers was really well done. And I think, I mean, I could imagine this as wonderful as a documentary is. I could imagine it as a full length feature film. It just has all the right elements. They were all used to great effect in the documentary. The documentary is more than sufficient for getting the story across. It's beautiful. There's fantastic footage. The narrative is pieced together really well. It's all there. All the elements are there. Just as an addition to a wonderful documentary, I could imagine a feature film because it's that great of a story. It's the kind that really, I think, appeals to a broad audience. Kieran's story, her struggles, the way she's dealt with them, these all just make really just great elements for a story. There and again, all put together really well in this documentary. I really enjoyed it.
Surviving to thriving. I liked this for a lot of different reasons. I really liked that this kind of was a follow up to an initial documentary or an initial story being told. And I think a lot of the time when you get to the end of a documentary, you kind of have that question of well, what happened next? Especially with something like that where you kind of get the exposure of being able to tell your story, and it no really matter what the scale is. I think a lot of the time there are follow-up questions of well, what happened then, especially after having the exposure, after having gotten to tell your story, how did that change or affect your life? And I loved this because it felt like that kind of follow-up where it really continued on to show and highlight the next kind of part of her story. And all of that is just centered on healing and figuring out what works for her and doing more research and getting some actual answers, and how much that, along with community and being able to find a place that is healing for her where she can finally feel comfortable, is amazing and incredible. And it doesn't really matter what that looks like to anybody else because it works for her, and that at the end of the day is all that she needs to worry about because it's her life, it's her body, and it's her quality of life. So if that looks different for her than it does for other people, that's completely fine. And I loved the kind of message behind advocating for yourself, setting your boundaries, and really accepting and being okay with, or getting to a place where you're accepting and really okay with living within the bounds of your reality. And whether that looks different to, mainstream, or different to other people, or maybe it's not as accepted, that's okay because it's still the bounds of your own reality and your own life. And as long as you're okay with them and you're happy with them and you're healthy and thriving, or on that journey, then it shouldn't matter, because those are the things that are important. And I think that this film just did a really great job of highlighting those things, along with the really, the challenges and having to change and adapt and figure out new solutions kind of on the fly, and having a community that can really, really step in and help when, life kind of throws different curveballs at you, like flooding out of nowhere, like a shark bite out of nowhere that obviously you're not prepared for, and don't really have a plan for in the first place. So I really, really liked the film because you got the kind of follow-up that answered some of the questions I think naturally people would have in regards to her first documentary, with how did that change and affect your life. And then we got to see this next great chapter where it, like the title said, she really kind of changed her mindset and was able to get answers and was able to find a place where she transitioned from just surviving kind of day to day to really flourishing and really thriving in the true sense of the word. And, you know, I think that that's such a beautiful story. And to, through all of it, still be true to herself and still try and be positive and just live the best life that she could under those circumstances, I think is such a phenomenal, like, message to put out into the world.
Everything this woman has gone through really touches my heart. She sounds like an amazing person because she's overcome so much to thrive rather than just survive, as she said. The idea of even being allergic to what's coming out of your own body is crazy. And I'm glad she finally found doctors who are willing to work with her and figure out what's going on. And that she's trying to spread awareness of this because it has to be very rare. It's incredibly strange to happen, but her background story, everything being told in this, it's a full story with this particular woman. There are a few weird things like shots that felt like they were staged, which I didn't really care for, but her story, you have to be sympathetic with her, especially she seems like such a nice person that it's kind of makes it more tragic that this is happening to her. But the fact that she's willing to learn and find naturopathic methods and keep working to figure out how to continue to live and how to thrive rather than just going day from day makes her a fantastic person.
What an amazing story. I mean, I can't even begin to imagine what it must be living with such a unique condition, but the way and the philosophy Corinne has to face this problem, to find her way in life, it's so beautiful, it's inspiring. It, it puts things into perspective and it's really, really beautiful. I was very moved by this documentary. I was very hooked by well, its originality because I have never heard of something like this. I don't mean just Corinne's condition, but I mean the things Corinne had to do to feel better, to improve her health, living in nature, living isolated, alone, in some lost beach in Australia and having to move constantly from one place to the other. It's something that I quite admire and I quite love it. Um, I love this kind of stories. Corinne is a very fascinating person. If you're watching this, Corinne, you're I love you. You're inspiration. You're amazing. I'm very happy to see that you are feeling better, and very I'm very inspired by you. You know, this documentary, your story, got me teary a little bit. I was very moved by it. I also love the way the community came across and helping you helping you out to find some way to move your belongings to move to help you to move across the country whenever you need it. It's a very beautiful story about self-improvement, so to speak, and it's a very beautiful, touching story about community coming together for the right cause. And I was very moved by I was very amazed by some particular moments, such as the moment when Corinne learns how to comb her hair with this, was like a fruit, like a flower, I don't remember, but combs her hair. I wish I could do that. Um, I love the moment where there's this kangaroo that steals Corinne's food. That was funny. Um, I quite love the visuals of the film because I love nature and I have always been intrigued by Australia. So having the chance to see these beautiful, amazing views of Australia, wilderness, the ocean, the beaches, even the rainforest, it was all very, very amazing. It's a little too bad that we didn't get to see some other animals from Australia because I quite love animals. But that's just a silly thing. Um, Other than that, I was very, well, very moved. I found Corinne a very sweet, lovely person. I love her philosophy, her way to always be smiling, to always look at the bright side of life. That was beautiful. That's a philosophy that a lot of people should follow. So, yes, I was very, very moved by this story. I love it. I'm so glad I had the chance to watch it. I'm very intrigued to watch the first documentary now. But at least at least surviving to thriving was an amazing effort, an amazing achievement of both. It was an amazing achievement as both a filmmaking product and even more as an inspiring story. It's a very unique story. I hope more people get to see it. Corinne is such a rebel one. I love it. We need more people like Corinne. And the song at the end is very beautiful too. I think it was composed for the film. I'm not quite sure, but if it was very beautiful. So yes, thank you for sharing your story with us. Thank you for that lovely message about you wishing us all the best of luck in our journeys. I love that. I love that detail. And thank you for showing us such a cool way of life.